Hello, everybody. It's Sunday, February 10th in the evening here. Today, or this evening, I want to talk to you about something that's known as fear. Fear is often associated with sadness, um, poverty, um, feeling of alone, despair, hopelessness. Um, what else? Thinking you don't deserve. Um, but first, we need to take a look at what fear actually is on the bigger picture. What is fear? Fear is an emotion. And then we got to ask ourselves what emotion is, or an emotion is. Happiness, sadness, feeling blue, aroused, um, joy, anger, hate, they're all emotions. And from my experience and from things I've learned and people I've spoken to, emotions are caused by one event, a few events, or multiple events that have happened in your lifetime that can have lasting effects in association to something. Food, um, something as serious as even men or women, which leads to problems dating, especially when it comes to things such as abuse. Um, Exercise, animals, traveling, um, even day-to-day things. Um, what kind of car you buy, what kind of job you get, where you work, the type of friends you have, addictions. They are all related to emotions. And let me give you an example. Maybe your one of your parents hits you when you were 5 because you ate some chocolate before dinner. Well, that could carry into your adult life. You might never want to eat chocolate again or enjoy anything chocolate. When I was about 12, I ate some watermelon and I swallowed seeds and I didn't like it. I think I started coughing or something, and for a long time I didn't want to have anything to do with watermelon, even though I liked the taste of it. Or I ate around the seeds, but now I eat the seeds and the whole watermelon whole. The seeds are quite healthy, apparently. Um, or this could go into deeper fears, such as money. Um, Things like money. If you're, like for me, for example, for a long time I was afraid of money or not having enough because my father and his partner would spend money on fancy trips. I know I've said this before in other discussions. Fancy trips, restaurants, parties, etc., and always say you're broke. Well, for a long time that stuck in my head, and I know it's quite easy to say, well, how could you let stupid things like that come around or people influence you? But when you've heard it for 15 years, that takes at least a year or so to deprogram. And I've only now, just at 34, 35, just started to deprogram from that mindset. And I know people who got airsick when they were a kid or even an adolescent, and they'll never fly because they're afraid of getting sick, you know? Um, so they'll never travel again, and they're missing out on all these things because of that one event or that one feeling of fear. And that that's living with that feeling that it's controlling you. You're not being you. You're not living your life. And the best way, from what I've found, is to conquer a fear, is to face it head on. But before you face it head on, go back to when you had that experience at whatever age, and face it head on. Go back with your adult self and take that younger self out of the situation. Stick up for your younger self, and you know, tell off whatever's happening to you or whoever's doing it to you, or whatever you feel you need to do. And that helps quite a bit. That helps conquer certain fears. I've found many fears. And then you can sort of look back and say, you know, because in my opinion, to live in fear is to not live at all. And forgiving yourself is quite an important part of it, this process. And don't be so hard on yourself, because everybody, you guys didn't do this all by yourself. You had a lot of help, whether you think so or not. Give me a few examples on that. Peers, people you thought were friends, family, the media, movies, TV, film, shows. So it wasn't just all you, you know. So don't be too hard on yourself. It doesn't really matter. All that really matters is looking back and getting yourself out of that scenario so that you can come back to the present and see things from a different point of view. And that's all that really matters. Because when fear consumes you, you're headed down a dark path. And from what I've been told, what I've read, it's a hard path to come out of. And I've been guilty of those things myself. I've had fear of things, but now I really don't see the point of things, and there's still things I'm dealing with. I have my days where I think back to something, and what else I found with emotion, it's a trigger. There's a trigger mechanism, that event that causes it. So if you can somehow, like I said, go back to that moment where that very first experience triggered that emotion, you can, you can start the process of breaking down those layers to your present self. Because all that really matters is now. And just as I'm saying these words, even this pause in between words is a new now. A new millisecond has gone by, just as I've said these words. If you're afraid of running out of money or not having food, or you're still going to be single in 2 months, take a look at yourself and say, am I okay right now? Probably yes. And the one thing I can say is, no matter how bad your situation looks, whatever it may be, there's always going to be somebody else who is worse off. Um, you have the power to change things. And I'm not saying that people, say, for example, who are homeless or whatever, um, or stuck in war-torn places, chose to be there. Um, I know it's hard for many people. Believe me, I wish we could stop war. But I know a lot of people who left certain countries. I've met some who got out because they wanted a better life and not to be in a war-torn country. And where there's a will, there's a way. And or somebody's homeless. I'm sure they weren't always homeless. I'm sure there are events that led up to what happened, and perhaps it was too hard for them to get themselves out of that dark place. They couldn't handle it, so they just stayed like that. Um, if I know people who are going through healing processes, and if they didn't go through these healing processes, they told me they'd probably be homeless too. But they said they had too much going for them to let themselves get consumed by it. Um, and as for a lot of people, for example, who hate their job, they're afraid to leave because they don't know what's out there for them. Even though it's a bad situation, they stay. So that fear is causing you to stay in a horrible place. And that's the thing. Or if you're wanting to start your own business, the fear. Whatever your calling is, whatever you feel inside, go with it. Maybe in a different universe, I was supposed to be a doctor, and I'm sure I would have done whatever I had to do to be there, but it's not. Um, what I'm at least feeling called to do right now is to try and share self-empowerment here, and that's what I'm doing. But fear can also bring up stress. Fear can make you sick. Fear can affect your entire life, your friends, your family. And once you begin to dissect what's causing these fears, whether it's a place, it's a person, it's a food, an event, you can face it head on, go back to your younger self of what caused it initially, and just break it down. You know, whatever you feel. If you feel to need to beat the crap out of whatever caused that initial event, do it. Um, but the one thing I can say is self-forgiveness. Um, and anyone that you felt who's wronged you, um, just thinking inside of yourself, I forgive you. Um, and for people that have wronged you, just know that um, karma is quite powerful. Everybody that I've been speaking to, I've had experiences where they've heard about, months later about somebody who wronged them, and they've heard about things that have happened to them, and they're like, okay, um, I guess that's all I need. Sometimes you won't even hear about it, but just know that karma happens, and if you try and help karma, it'll only come back to you. You don't need to help it. It works it on its own. It does it on its own. Um, so the best thing to start is to forgive yourself. You're not perfect. Look at these events that have triggered these fears, and then you can, like I said, attack them head on. And you can use whatever techniques you need to: meditation, therapy, hypnosis. There's so many things. But to live in fear, because fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate, well, it sends you spiraling down into a world of despair, rage, and feeling of undeserving, and we all deserve. The next step is to open yourself up to receiving and deserving through self-love techniques, other forms, meditations, and so on. Because trying to eliminate and face your fears will help raise your vibration, and you can begin to have a better life. And it can take days, weeks, months, years, whatever, to sort these out and have that better life that you want, which is possible. And you don't need to live in fear. But all of this gun business and, apocalyptic world, or that doesn't help people. Just forget about all that stuff. And as for fear of running out of money, whatever, abundance and things like that, if you can shift yourself, that will be a lot better for you. And there's the law of attraction. The universe only knows negative energy or positive energy. So even if you're focusing on what you don't want, just that energy of focusing on that, the universe is going to give you more of what you don't want. The more I've tried to argue with it or fight it, I've seen it myself. If you can focus on things you have, things to be thankful for already, that in itself will help eliminate fear. And just what am I saying? Just letting go, letting go of things from the past, and if things come up that are similar to what triggered these events in the past, the best thing to do is to deal with them maturely, calmly. And the most important thing I can stress is to not give one of these events that causes emotion, the emotion of fear, a voice. If it doesn't have a voice, it won't cause rage within you. You'll be able to deal with it and move on with your life towards the things that you deserve and are able to receive, and to be a better person. We can get into this more at a later date, but we're going on about 20 minutes, so I gotta go. And I hope this was a reasonable start to your journey of eliminating fear. Anyway, be well.